decide this. But if there are any question, you can put it in chat box. So after the conversation, we can give it to Mario, and Mario will, if Mario want, Mario will can answer your queries or whatever. So Mario, you can, if you, yeah, this is very, uh, you can say formal, informal way, you can start.
Thank you, Supriyo. Thank you, everybody. And good evening, everybody. I'm so sorry I cannot speak Bengali.
Okay,
It's
one day you will learn, no problem.
maybe one life,
One
Supriyo.
life. Okay.
I don't think there will be time in this one. I'm very glad, Supriyo, for your invitation. It is not as, of course, it is not the same as being together, but it's very nice to be able to have at least some contact with you so far. This is one of the amazing things of technology nowadays. Yes, we can have some contact, even if we are very far. And surely in these days with Corona, sometimes also if we are very near, we cannot meet. Maybe I should say some words about what I did, what is my life, what I do, so that because you don't know me. And so I am Italian. I live in a place called Pontedera. It's in the middle of Italy. It's a small town. And it's the town that a Polish director, Jerzy Grotowski, chose for his last project, the last final project of his life. He arrived in Pontedera in 1986. And I arrived in Pontedera at the same time. I came here because of him. I didn't know who he was really. He was very famous, but I was kind of ignorant about theater matters. But I had seen him in a conference the year before. And this man impressed me very much when I saw him talk in public. So when I came to know that he was going to start a place with young people, a place of research, of study related to performance, then I did all I could to take part. So, and I was lucky, I started to work with him at the Workcenter in 1986, just when it started. I worked for 3 weeks, then we had a day off. I was invited for 3 weeks. We were working on ancient songs, on different exercises, on some fragments of acting. And after 3 weeks, we had a day off and they invited me for 3 more weeks. And then after these 3 more weeks, nobody told me anything anymore. So I just stayed. And I remember I was young. I was 22, 21, 22. And I remember thinking, okay, I'll stay here until they chase me away and I'll try to catch whatever I can. The work was good, was very intense. And actually, I'm still there after more than 30 years. After a few months, maybe 4 or 5 months, I started to work directly with Mr. Grotowski. And we worked together for 12 years until he died in 1999. He was working directly with me and with Thomas Richards, who is today the artistic director of the Workcenter. I am the associate director of the Workcenter. The Workcenter is called the Workcenter of Jerzy Grotowski and Thomas Richards. And the Workcenter is composed of 3 teams. And I direct one of these teams, the team I work with, the team I have the honor and the luck to direct and work with, is called the Open Program. And it exists since, I don't know, 13, 14 years. During this time, Grotowski was trying to pass to a few young people something that he discovered during his life. And when I arrived at the Workcenter, I was told that never anybody would see what we were doing. The train, sorry. And for me, that was okay. I was not so much interested in doing theater shows, theater performances. Since I was very young, I was interested in strange things. I was interested in, I don't know how to say it without seeming too weird. But I was interested in why all this? Why are we here? Why I am here? Why people is born and die? What is all this? And for some reason, when I heard him talk in 1985, I had the clear impression that he had the same question. And I was lucky enough to be able to spend time with him and work with him. He was my teacher. He was a friend, a very good friend. And he helped me a lot. He didn't help me by teaching things, even if he knew a lot about many matters. But he helped me to be able to follow my own way somehow, without imitating his way or what he had done. He was a very famous theater director. No, he helped me to somehow understand that I could follow my way. And he helped me also to start to work with other people. Very shortly after I arrived, he gave me a group of like 12 or 13 persons. And he said, okay, you work with them, you lead them. He wanted me to act, but he also wanted me to be a theater director. And he was helping with this in many different ways. So now, what can we talk about today? Because Supriyo asked me, oh, maybe you can talk about Grotowski. But you know, Grotowski is dead since a long time. There are many books about him. There are many texts by him. So there is a lot that has been already said. And maybe what we can talk, or what for me it's interesting to talk today, it's a few questions. And the main question that I have is, since my destiny, it seems, has been to be active in the world of theater. I sing, I dance, I act, I work on texts, I work with other people on these things. What is this for? Why, if my destiny is theater, the word, the spoken word, the song, the presence with other people, what is this about? Why? And I think that our craft, our job as actors, as directors, as singers, as dancers, cannot be separated from the times in which we are living. So now it's very clear because there is Corona, right? But even before Corona, it was already evident that the times in which we live, they are not really these moments in history where everything is going towards some kind of great future, some kind of great progress. Since a few years, it's as if we can feel, we can see, we can realize that the times in which we live are dark. In many, many meanings, there is a lot of suffering, there is a lot of hatred, there is growing ignorance, nationalism, religious fanaticism, division, violence. And as artists, we are not, immune. We live in these times like a fish lives in the water. We are not saved by what we do. Rather the opposite. And so do we have a responsibility? For myself, I know that I am in a very privileged situation. I can do what I love. I can work with people I choose to work with. I can do my own research with other people. And this is not given to everybody. I have the possibility to imagine the future of my work. I have the possibility of inventing things that are living or interesting to me. And this is not given to everybody. I live on top of the train station. There are trains passing by. And for me, it's very good because every time that the train passes by, I can remember something. Every time that the train passes by, I remember I'm lucky. So this means I have some kind of debt. There was a famous intellectual. Her name was Hannah Arendt. She was a very, very intelligent woman. She was a Jew who escaped to the United States to escape the persecution of the Jews in Europe. And one time she said something that stayed in my mind when I read it. She said that in dark times, one tendency of the people who have some intelligence, some sensibility, it is to go towards the world of feelings and thoughts. She said it's an automatic response. The times are constricting and we go inside. And she said, but if you have a public position, this public position, it was given to you. And because of that position, you cannot go and live only in the sphere of thoughts and feelings. But you have to be active in what she called the world of human beings. So the question is, if we are living in dark times, if I have a public position, what should I do? I can do performances. But for what do we do performances? Do we do performances because we want to somehow touch somebody? Have them have a certain kind of aesthetic or emotional experience? Like you would say in Sanskrit, ras. Is it because of that? And why do we want to have people be touched by what we do? Is it because after they will tell us, thank you, you touched me? Rishikalpo, what's going on? Can you hear me still? Yes. So I don't have an answer. Somehow the work we do with my colleagues, it's the work itself is this question. Our work itself is looking for an answer. But I have an intuition. I have the intuition that nowadays it's not the time to follow a path in our craft, in our work as actors, where the actor, this human being on stage, is the center. You know, we all have this when we are young, when we start to do theater. I am sure everybody who does theater, we all have this idea of that you are on stage and you had some kind of magnetic effect on the people who are watching. I think it's no more the time of that, of the actor as the center of the performative event. In our work, in the past, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years, we have been creating performances, etc., also because we need to live. So we need to sell our performances so that we can live, etc. But the main effort we have been doing has been a research on how to create encounters with what is usually called an audience, encounters where the people can take part in a very simple way. And these encounters in our work until now, until a couple of years ago, 1 year ago, have been based on singing. Because a lot of what we do, in fact, is based on singing. We sing a lot. But recently, I have seen that these meetings that we are organizing where people come, it can be 20, it can be 50, it can be 100 people, 200 people. and we all sing, I saw that, yes, it works. It's something very beautiful. But it's not enough. It's not enough to just have a good moment together, a moment of good quality. What do I mean by good quality? I mean that we see each other. I mean that we hear each other. We feel each other in a simple way. We are present to each other. What does it mean? It means we are responsible for each other. Not only me as the actor, but also the person who comes and whom I don't know feels a certain responsibility. But I saw that this singing together is not yet enough. So in the past, maybe 2 years, we have been exploring other ways too. And in this, we have been asking for help from other people. Coffee, you see, luxury. Tobacco, coffee. We have been asking the help of people who don't work in theater, but are rather experts in completely different fields of human activity, like philosophers, sociologists, scientists, psychoanalysts, experts on certain ancient disciplines like yoga. And why I have been pushing my group to create this kind of interdisciplinary meetings? Because I feel that in order to do something in the world nowadays, I need to study. I need to study the human being. I need to study the human being in nature, the connection that we have with nature. And when I say study, I don't mean like when we go to school or when somebody goes to university, where normally you study so that you acquire a certain knowledge that will help you after, right? They tell us, do your university, after you will have a degree, and then you will be a doctor, etc. No, when I talk of study, I am talking of an effort to be present in the moment, and where study is in that moment my way to connect with others. Another interesting result of studying is that the more you study, the more you are ignorant. The more you study, for example, a language, the more you know that you will not be able to learn all languages, ever. And this feeling of ignorance, of lucid, conscious ignorance, helps me to stay far from illusions. I spoke of nature. When I say nature, I don't mean the places which are green. Also, Calcutta is nature. There is nothing that is not nature. In the West nowadays, many people are looking to connect with nature, which is very weird because it's to think like this is to think that we can survive disconnected from nature. How you say in Bengali nature, Supriyo?
Prakriti. Prakriti.
Prakriti. Yes, Prakriti. We are Prakriti. Everything is Prakriti. Calcutta, the train station, my body, my mind. And the big question is, okay, if everything is Prakriti, is there another point of view? Where is Purusha? But maybe our work should, in these days, go toward some kind of extreme simplicity. You know, you mentioned, Supriyo, in the beginning, coronavirus. It is very clear that the people who suffer the most for coronavirus are the weakest and the poorest. See, look at which places in the world now are under the strongest attack from this virus. Is India, Brazil, United States. Inside these countries, and also here in Europe, the people who was mostly affected were the people who are weakest, the weakest and the poorest. But in Europe, after 3-4 months, it's almost as if there is almost no virus anymore. The United States are supposed to be the richest country in the world, but they are not the richest society. It's a very poor society. So some people are very rich, but the society is very poor. So in the world, the place that was able to deal the best with coronavirus for the moment are certain countries in Far East, in Eastern Asia, like Korea, South Korea, and Europe, meaning one of the most rich places on earth. Maybe our way to do theater now, everyone in their own way should be looking for what can we serve and who. And then how. I know that about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I started to feel very tight in the world of theater because, you know, we travel a lot, and one day I was in Paris. This is a story that I tell often because it's a very good example. I went to, somebody invited to a premiere of a performance, the opening of a performance. The writer was a friend of mine, and this was in a famous theater in Paris, Le Vieux Colombier. And this is not a big theater, but it's pretty large. There are maybe 500 seats. And I went to that place, and I realized that something was strange. I knew half of the people who was sitting in that hall in France, not even my country. And I was shocked because I realized that the world of theater as we understand it according to Western theater history, meaning a place where you go, you sit, you buy a ticket, and you see a performance. It's a very small world. If I knew half of the public in a performance in Paris, it means it's a very tiny circle. So I started to feel very tight inside that world. And I did a lot to go out from that circle, to find some fresh air, to find some clear water, something that of course is related to theater, but that is not inside that circle. And why I should look for something that is related to theater? Because I don't know anything else. It's where life put me. I didn't choose. You remember the story, 3 weeks, and then I stayed there for more than 30 years. I didn't choose that, it just happened. But that means, okay, somehow the destiny of this life is now in theater. So I had to look for something connected to theater. And then I started to find ways to connect with people who don't go to theaters, who don't go to watch performances, and they don't go because they are not interested, because theater is not destined to them. But these people have what I call cultural competencies. They don't go to theater, but they know how to make a speech. They don't go to theater, but they know how to sing. They don't go to theater, but they know how to dance. And dancing, speaking, singing is for them a way of being with others. So I started to look for communities like this in different parts of the world. We arrive to these places. Sometimes it takes 1, 2, 3, 4 years to get really in touch. No, nobody there knows who was Grotowski. And this is so good. Nobody has ideas of what Grotowski was doing or who he was or what we should be doing because we worked with Grotowski for so long. And for me, this is a kind of little liberation. And with these people, I start to see that there are sometimes certain topics that are important. And sometimes these are very basic topics. For example, the right to have a house. If you don't have a home, what is theater? As we understand it, no? Usually. So I tried to use my position, our work, to give voice to somebody. I meet a young man and he lives in the street and he writes poetry. And so I tried to help the young man, for example, to speak his poem so that it can be heard. Now I am preparing a period of work where I would like very much to work in schools here in Italy, because here in Italy we can see that a lot of young people don't receive, even if we are a rich country, there is public school, but a lot of young people don't receive good education. So I want to bring into the schools, through theater art, certain disciplines like I was mentioning before, like mathematics, physics, philosophy, psychoanalysis, and to bring these experts that I know inside the school, famous people inside the school, and then help the students to digest and to render, to give back what they learn, for example, about philosophy through theater, through singing, through dancing. I want, and I know maybe it's, maybe it's just a vain hope. But if among 50 students, one discovers that he has a voice and that he can invent his future, then I would feel that what we do is worth of existing. Just this. Simple. So, my friends, I have talked a lot. Maybe some of you have some questions. And maybe you can just speak the questions, no? If somebody have a question, you can just speak.
Yes, it will be good. Uh, before, when I think I met you in 2008 in front of that laboratory, and you told me one thing that is very important. You from India? I said yes. So you come? I said yes. And then I don't know, you don't know me, who is Supriyo. But then I said, can I take a picture? I said, okay, yes, yes. And then wait 1 minute, Thomas will come. And so now the conversation from the beginning is there. But people, Mario is, some people ask me that, oh, Mario is coming and give a talk. And I said, yes, Mario is coming and give a talk. And now, in your discussion now, this is very important. Uh, so what is theater now for you?
Theater, it's a very big box. A very, very big box. Normally in this box, there are the performances, there are the monologues, there is a little bit of literature, there is a little bit of music, a little bit of physical capacity. There are people who are talented, meaning that other people want to look at. You know what it means? Somebody is talented. It means that other people wants to look and pay to look. But I think the theater as a box has many holes. So there are a lot of things that are theater, especially in India, for example. You have a lot of, and these things will disappear so fast. They are probably already gone in many places of India, like certain village arts. How I remember when I was a kid, I was born in the countryside in a farm. And I remember when I was a kid, little, very little, in the winter, when the nights were long, and cold. And people would meet in a big kitchen with a fireplace, and they would spend hours there, staying there, sitting, not sleeping. The children, they would fall asleep. But these people, they would drink a little bit, eat something, talk, wait, stay there, sometimes sing, sometimes dance. Is that theater? Of course it's not, because it's only people being together. But that, I always remember that feeling of being in a place where the time that we are spending together is important right now. And there is no applause at the end. There is not a first row. There is not a second row. There is not a division between somebody who watch and somebody who is performing. It's like when you go to a party. You go to a party and some people are dancing and you're a little shy and you stay on the side and look at the other people dancing. Are you a spectator? Dancing is performing. But in a party, you're not a spectator. So there are all these different aspects of theater because there is, yes, on one hand, there is the performance. Then there are the rehearsals for the performance, which are very different than the performance. But those also, the rehearsals are theater. These rehearsals are for creating a performance. But there are also other rehearsals, which are not for creating a performance, but for discovering the possibilities of an actor, to enlarge the possibility of action of an actor. But there are also other phenomena related to this. For example, a party or even sports have some aspects of theater. A funeral have some aspects of theater. A wedding, special moments. All these special moments are what is interesting to me, but not because these moments are intense, strong, deep, from the gut, you know. As actors, we are always trying to do something intense, that is deep, especially people who read a little bit about Grotowski. But I know what Grotowski was interested in, and somehow it's the same thing that interests me, and that is when human beings in a space, outside, in a room, or in a rehearsal hall, start to behave in a way that I call normal, where I'm not just a machine that reacts to certain pushed buttons. So if you tell me I'm smart, I'm happy. If you tell me I am stupid, I'm sad. You know, these are just buttons. No, but when there is some harmony that appears between the people, and this harmony is not even remarked, that's what is interesting to me now. Because I think that our life now is completely upside down. We think upside down. We feel upside down. And so when there is a moment when again, we see each other, we think, our thoughts are clear, we feel each other, then in this moment, we have a little bit more freedom. And in that moment, we can ask ourselves, only in that moment, we can ask ourselves, what is important for me? What is truly important for me? If I had to renounce everything and just choose one thing, what would that be? And this is not something we can do alone. This is only something that we can do alone with other people. Yeah. Trey.
Moving something.
Sorry?
I said something moving,
Yes.
not in a
Absolutely.
static way. Yeah,
It's Prakriti.
yeah, Pratik. So I think it's nice if anyone, any anything. I think Mario is now. You can ask Mario if it is, if you wish.
Jerzy, ask a question.
Who is it?
Even
So you just said that station building is a part of nature. Generally, in general terms, we know nature as trees, forests, animals, mountains, rivers. These are part of nature as we have known it. How do you define nature from your?
I just heard the last words and the rest was broken up. I just heard how do you define
How
nature?
do what is nature in your definition? What is nature in your definition?
What's your name?
Sabbosachi.
Sabyasachi.
Sabbosachi. Sabbosachi. He is
Sabasa.
he is from Siliguri in West Bengal.
Sabasachi, you asked the wrong person. I'm just an actor. I'm not good at definitions. If you want a definition, you should ask, I don't know, maybe a philosopher. What do I know about nature concretely? When I work with an actor, there are moments where I see in the doing of the person, in some special moments, the presence at the same time of two processes. And one process is all that is taking place, all that is happening, the transformations, the little details, everything that is unconscious, the very small elements of behavior, the flux of mental and physical associations, everything that makes that we say, oh, this actor is alive. I see that. And then in some special moments when the actor has no fear, no shame, I see that there is something else that it's also nature and is some kind of very simple transparency. What is nature? Nature is everything that is born and dies. What do we have that is not born and does not die? Maybe that is not nature, if there is anything like that. But all that is born and dies is nature. So I'm nature. Even books are nature. They are all in my head. There is no head without birth. It's all that is born. What we breathe, what we are, even our capacity of thinking is nature. Is there something else? Like you say in India, Purusha. What is it? And they say that the highest point of nature is Buddhi. What is that? Buddhi. Something that has to do with being awake, right? The word is connected to Bud, to be awake. And they say that it's like a finger inside nature pointing to something else. What? This mystery. So nature is, of course, a mystery. Life. You were born, I were born, there are children, there is love, there is jealousy, there is hatred. Beautiful. It's a mystery. But there is a bigger mystery. What it is to be awake. And in the moment when I am not awake, what is that? And when I am awake, what does this moment of being present points to? I don't think there is an answer. As an actor, are you an actor?
So, hello, yes, I'm an actor.
Yes. So, from the point of view of acting, you could, for example, see acting divided in two big lines. But it's not like this, but this is very schematic. But you could say that there is one way of acting that is related to some kind of organic process, like the technique of acting that Stanislavski was searching, where we are looking for the natural processes on stage, the natural processes of living action. Okay? You follow?
Yes, sir, I'm listening to you.
Then there is another line in art, in performing, which is not the same as, let's say, Stanislavski, to give like a technique, a very broad technique that contains many techniques, that is looking to create a living process on stage that is, let's say, natural. Huh? There is another way, which is what we could call artificial. For example, in India, you have certain traditional theater forms, like in South India, like Kathakali. That is a form of art that is based on composition. You understand? So, for instance, when you watch an actor from this form of art, you can see that almost everything that the actor does, the dancer in this case does, is a bit. Pak, 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 pak. Now, what is interesting with these two different ways is that the first one, this organic way of doing, when it is developed to a very high level, arrives to be articulated and composed. So it starts from an organic process and it arrives to composition, to something that is clear on stage. It's not a soup. On the other hand, this other line, this more composed way of creating, composed means on forms, on very specific and specific forms that are cut one from the other. This second way, which starts from composition at a high level of execution, arrives to organicity. So it arrives to, for example, a flow. So it starts from something cut, and it arrives to a flow. So both ways can be fully representative of art. Art needs to be, on one hand, alive, meaning following the rules of nature, because there is no life without nature, right? And second, art needs to be articulated. Otherwise, there is no possible communication with a spectator if it is only a soup. In terms of this first line, let's say the line of Stanislavski in the West, but also the line of realistic theater, like that you have also in India since the 19th century with like Girish Chandra Ghosh. In that line of, let's say, realistic theater, Girish was a great actor, it seems, and a great man. In that line, what is very important is not to push nature. For example, an actor who gets on stage and tries to feel something by some kind of manipulation of the muscles and the expression and the breathing, that is to push nature. And how nature reacts? She stops, she blocks. So it is very important that if the actor wants to arrive to a true life of feeling on stage, he should not think about feelings. He should not look for feelings. He should not try to manipulate feelings. What can he do, or she? He can rather concentrate on what he is doing, what he is thinking, what he wants from a partner, and not how he feels. Clear? You have a very good book about this. It was written by an actor. His name was Toporkov. I don't know. Can I? There is a chat here. Can I write here? How to do? Type message here. Toporkov. He was Russian, and he wrote a book called Stanislavski in Rehearsals. Wait a moment. How do I send this?
Chat box. You can see
Did
there
I
is
send
a
it?
yes, there is a chat.
Yeah.
You can just click there and you can find the.
But when I push,
Yeah,
it
it's just
doesn't go.
enter, type and enter.
Where? I don't know how to do super.
like this. I enter, just right
I
there and
think, but it
push.
says
Yeah.
Srinivasa Chakravarti is not in the meeting. How the actor have to prepare it? He gets the script on the spot. Hi Mario, how an actor can prepare on the spot? Wait a moment. Stanislavski in rehearsal. How do I do the? I found it. I found it. How do I send this chat to everybody? Everyone here.
Yes, everyone.
Hey, does it work?
Yes.
So this book is very good. Very, very good. It speaks exactly of what an actor in this line of organic behavior can concentrate on. What he can concentrate on is his actions, not his feelings. Now, how can an actor prepare? Wow, on the spot. You know, every time that you act, it's on the spot. What are rehearsals for? Rehearsals, yes, we can say you prepare your role, you prepare your score of actions, you know what you should do in relation to who in each moment of a scene. But in reality, rehearsals are in they their function is to prepare you to be unprepared, is to prepare you to what you cannot foresee. Every time that you are on stage, you're different. Every time that you do a scene, it's going to be a little different. So if you have to do something on the spot, for example, during an audition, this is complicated. It's complicated. It depends very much from your experience, who is the director. What you can do is to give yourself something as solid as possible in terms of you imagining what are the circumstances of a given scene. Right? An actor behaves, a character behaves according to circumstances. For example, Hamlet. How do you play Hamlet? You don't have the same story as Hamlet. You are not from a royal family in a Western country in the past. Your father was not killed by your uncle and your mother. Your mother is not sleeping with your uncle. How can you be Hamlet? Well, one way, let's say Stanislavski way, it is to imagine yourself in the circumstances of the character. You know? Oh, if I, Mario, was, if I found myself in those circumstances, how would I react? This is one possibility. But this you can find in every book about theater. Is there any other question?
Yes, I think just to, there are Shekhar Das. He is one of our good friend. I think you know, and you can, that Shekhar Das, when Grotowski came India in 1980s, and that time Shekhar Das is very senior actor, theater director, film director, but that time he met Grotowski. So it's very nice. Shekhar is a very senior actor. So, and with Bibhaban, he is for last, you can say 20 years, we are very close to each other. So Shekhar, if you can, I think.
No, I'll just, Mario, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I've heard about you from Shupriyo. It's true that I met Grotowski because I used to practice, shadow practice with this book called Towards Poor Theatre, because I was an actor then. Now, I am provoked to ask you that, tell me, what is the role of a director? As you are pointing out as Konstantin Stanislavski, now at each situation, see, you have worked with Grotowski from 1985 and Grotowski died in 1999. 14 years you have seen very closely, okay? And you have used the term research. Okay, continuously, as I read his book, and I always kept myself updated what he was trying to do and researching into the psychological self, spiritual self of an actor, okay? So when in a directorial situation, suppose I have about 6, 8 characters or actors, okay? Now, what does a director do? Because nowadays I am very much in film. theater for 3 decades almost, but I was very sincerely into theater for 15 years. Now, as you are talking as an actor, you are also a director. I'm questioning you the role changing, Suddenly you become a director, you are interpreting, say, Allen Ginsberg's song, okay? You are interpreting a Bob Dylan song, a counterculture song, It's talking about Vietnam, working a new culture. Now you are interpreting for yourself and for your co-actors, co-artists. Just tell
Yes,
me in brief, okay? Because
that's a
that's
very
important.
good question, because it's true. I always worked both from 86 on. I worked both as an actor and as a director. And
Right.
many times, for example, the first piece I worked with, Grotowski gave me 12, 13 people, and I was supposed to direct them from the outside, but I had the main role.
Okay.
So I worked my role separately with Grotowski. He was my director, and we worked alone, me and him. And we created my line of action. When my line of action was done, then I created the lines of action of the other 12 actors around my role. And I put myself inside. Now, the main problem with this is that you cannot be sitting on two chairs at the
That's right.
same time. So it means that when you're acting, you should fight like a true warrior to completely exclude from your mind all the criticism, all the ideas, all the way of thinking of the director. When you are working, when you are on stage, when you are inside a certain performative structure, you should be impeccably just doing that. Yes, of course, you can, in the back of your mind, record, take little notes. This doesn't work, this doesn't work. But this is not disturbing. But you should stop directing the others. Now, when you are directing other people, I think there are many, many ways. Grotowski was a very strong person, very strong. When I saw him working with a group, or when he was working with us with a group, he was really strong. And somehow in the beginning, I was working like him from the outside. And then exactly when we started to work on Ginsberg, this was many years ago, and we worked on Ginsberg poems for maybe, I don't know, 8, 9 years. In the beginning, when after 1 year of work, when the material started really to appear and it was beautiful, I decided to not direct the actors. I was just watching in that moment. I was not inside. I entered inside maybe after 2, 3 years. But in the beginning, I was just looking on. And I was waiting for the moments when I was marveled.
Yeah.
You have this expression in Sanskrit. I don't know if you have it in Bengali also. Chamatkar.
Yeah, I know. You're putting a lot of surprises, quoting Girish Ghosh and Chamatkar. Great. Continue, MC.
Chamatkar, it's
Yeah.
an interesting concept that appears in the Natya Shastra, but also is used, for example, on the commentary of Natya Shastra by Abhinavagupta.
Oh,
And it's very interesting that because it's a term that is used by Abhinavagupta both when he talks about theater and when he talks about yoga. So it's this marvel. That's the moment I'm waiting for when I am, let's say, directing. But in that moment, in that period, when something started to appear and it was so alive, I took the decision to not make any intervention, but to just create from the outside a moment for the actors where my look could only be just a look, just embracing. I had directed other things before, many, and in the before that moment, I was very much working on composition. I like it. It's amazing what you can create with 10 people when you start to compose image and sound and rhythm and forms. It's amazing. It's great fun. And it can be great fun or very strong also for the spectators. But when we started, when this material of Ginsberg started to appear, we didn't, I decided not to use this skill that I had. And now, in this moment, we started now a very different work. We started to work on a French writer who I know since I am a kid and whom I love very much. And this French, his name was René Daumal. And he didn't write much, but his writings are very special for me. And I think they are special also for my colleagues. Now we are starting a completely different process of creation. And I don't know what will be my role. I don't know. I know it will not be as the work that we did on Ginsberg, because when we started the work on Ginsberg, all my colleagues were very new. And now some of my colleagues have 12, 13 years experience. And what I feel now that is really needed for the group, but also because it goes against the spirit of the time, what I feel is needed is that all my colleagues, each one of them is responsible for this creation.
That's right. Yeah.
Not so much in the sense of a collective creation, because this is very often an illusion that, okay, there is no chief, there is nobody who has a function of deciding yes, no, in this way, in this way. Not so much in this sense, but in the sense of the feeling of autonomous responsibility, also in creation. So I don't know which form it will take and what will be my function.
No, just a little bit of interruption. You know, in our society, usually what happens, the boys and the girls who express their wishes to work in a group or in a group,
Yes.
usually director is much ahead, knowledge wise, technique wise. So
Yes.
we handle our colleagues are co-artists of different intellectual strength.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm a director. I'm also an actor. Okay. That's the reason we tend to participate in a workshop to come to a rhythm,
Yes.
natural rhythm.
Yes.
Now the problem is, that's why I told you that 12 years working together is a very, very rich experience. Responsibility to Mario. Okay, because you are at the same level, and that case, is there any role for the director except possibly, something, it's like, what does the director do in that situation when everybody's in the same intellectual level?
Well, I think that even intellectual level, it's something that is continuously shifting
Okay, okay.
because it's shifting every second. It's not that people are on different steps always. No, this is a flux. It's I don't know if you have this word in Bengali, kram.
Gram?
Kram is like a flux, huh?
Okay, okay, yeah.
In Sanskrit. It's a process.
Okay.
It's so the role of a director in a group of adults, adult
Yeah,
artists,
yeah.
and adult doesn't mean necessarily past a certain age. Huh? I have young colleagues in my group, much younger than me, 30 years younger than me, but I treat them as adults. And if you treat somebody as an adult, he behaves as an adult. Some time ago, they made already, maybe 15 years ago, there was this experiment that was made in a school. They said to some teachers that they gave to some teachers a class. And they said, these 10 people are very smart. They took them, you know, by hazard, like this, without any criteria. These 10 people are much less smart. After 1 year, the people who were supposed to be smarter, they had the best grades. Why? Because the teacher was treating them as intelligent people.
Equal.
Not equal. No, not equal. That because everybody can be different. But if I treat all of my colleagues as talented, smart, responsible, they will respond. So this is my responsibility. And there is also another responsibility that comes with, we could say comes with experience. But not only, it is also a gift somehow.
Okay.
And it is to the capacity to have the intuition of what is needed in a certain moment.
Okay. Yeah, I got your point. Yes.
For example, you need to have the intuition to know where you should not make an intervention and where you have to make an intervention. Everything goes always like this, always. Nothing stays like this. This is Prakriti.
Yeah.
It's always playing among gunas. So it's always dancing.
Wave.
Okay, great.
Sometimes you see that things are going up. And you should know that if they are going up, it means that there is a moment where they will start to degrade. So if things are going up, you don't touch it. No? It's what Grotowski used to say, if a clock works, don't fix it.
Yeah, I
So
know.
that's the first rule. Don't fix it. But you should have the intuition of when it's going to go down. And before that it starts to go down, you should give it a little push. So it will go not like this, but it will go like this, and you give a little push and pop, and it keeps going.
Yeah, it goes up.
And this is something I'm trying to not teach, because I don't know if that I can teach anything, but I'm trying to show to my colleagues that, because this is very important also for their future life.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mario. I think I am taking much of
no,
your time because Supriyo is restless.
Thank you, Shekhar. Here is, I think, lot of questions in the chat box. But before we go to the chat box, I think Mario is coffee enough. So Mario, please stay with us few minutes more.
Yes.
With us, Jyoti Dogra from Mumbai. She is also a follower of Grotowski, and she is a very good, very serious performer. So I asked Jyoti if Jyoti is here. Jyoti, if possible, can you share some Sing.
Jyoti?
Hi, Mario. Can you hear me?
Yes,
I
yes.
hear you. I don't see you, but I hear you.
Yes, I haven't switched on the video. I'd rather be heard. There's no electricity here, so it's dark in any case.
Yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to first say that, I have read and reread your sections in the book by Thomas Richards where you are creating something. So there's a little description of you create something of yourself when you were a child and your father was being operated. And then there's this other beautiful section where uh, you start singing your first sessions with Grotowski, and it's your grandmother's song. And I have read those sections many, many, many times over and over while I've been making my own work and feeling this is not going anywhere, or I just want to die, or I can't take this anymore. And I don't know what they have given me a constant I can't say, because in that book you sort of you are placed as this outsider who slowly finds his roots, and I have always felt like that in the work. I've worked a lot with Khalid Tayyibji and with Yola, a lot with Yola Syncritus.
Yes.
So Yola was my teacher and Khalid, and actually I've just been listening to you. I've been wanting to come to the work center for a very long time, but I always got a feeling that I used to think if everyone's going to sing there, and if you're not a singer, perhaps you will not be of any use, or your presence will not be helpful in any way, or sort of interrupt the work. Is that the case?
No, it's not the case. It's not that you need to be a singer. It depends, because if you are in Thomas's group, then you need more singing. If you are in the open program, in the group that I work with, no, it's not really needed that you have singing skills. And what is singing skills? It's, of course, you have extremely rich traditions in India of singing. Um, so you may have a very high standard of what is to be a singer. But practically, to start from, and if you want to sing, the main thing is, first of all, is that you can sing more or less in tune. And then somebody can help you to sing more in tune. So no, it's not an absolute condition. This is an interesting thing, because I see, for example, that my way of working with people about singing has changed a lot during the years. And one thing that for me was a great opportunity was to be able to work with people from countless different cultures. So each culture has different scales.
Yes, yes.
So in the beginning, when somebody was not able to sing exactly a melodic line, I was saying, look, this note here, it's flat or is sharp, or this one should not be this, but should not be but it should be like a half tone
Yes.
difference. I say, no, it's a half tone difference. And the person, because also coming from a different culture and with a different musical memory, music is like food. You grow up with it. So
Yes.
when you eat food, you say, oh, this is good. And when it's good, usually it means that it's like your mom used to do it, no? So music
Yes.
is the same. So I discovered that way that I was trying to help the person with tuning was not working in many, many cases. And it was thanks to the fact that it was all people coming from different food backgrounds. So I discovered, for example, that in many cases, in people coming from a culture that's different from Italian or French, which more or less is the same musically, the best is to ask them just to imitate the sound I make, not the note,
Yes, yes,
but the
yes.
quality of the sound. Huh? The
Mm-hmm.
quality of the sound. And this is a
And
little,
Mario,
yes.
sorry, I'm interrupting you. Could you say a little bit about, like in the book, of course, like the actions with Thomas, which is one of my I found it most helpful. And last 14 years, I read it. I don't know how many times I have read the book. It helps me. I can't say exactly how. Sometimes just emotionally, it's like somebody holds your hand, and sometimes uh, you're stuck, and you read a section and you get unstuck. Not that you get a direct answer, but something gets unknotted. But the more older I'm getting, the more earlier the body was just available. It was present, and like, an impulse would come, and you would begin with a hand or a breath or a sound or a sentence. In now, I keep feeling, oh, I need training. My body is not available to me so much. And sometimes I wonder, is this just my frustration that I'm thinking this, or is this actually a technical, like a lack of training, which is making me think this? I don't know if you can answer that, since you don't know me, or but if you could generally talk about, this feeling that the body is available, and your hand can speak and your elbow can speak, and it does. And then sometimes it's inside, but it's not able to articulate it. Is that lack of skill?
Do you have in your family somebody like who has little children, like a sister with a little child?
Yes, yes. I have nieces and nephews.
Okay. When you play with your nieces and nephews, you arrive and you get down and you start to play with the child. Do you think about how your body is moving?
No,
Hey.
no.
And do you have a grandma, old grandma?
Not anymore, but I did.
So when she was playing with you when you were a child, was she thinking about her body?
No, no.
Hey, you understand?
I do, but like at the Grotowski Center, I was there in 2017. I saw actors with very exceptionally high physical skills.
What do you mean by Grotowski Center?
The Grotowski Center at Wrocław.
Ah, okay. Yes, but this actor never met even Grotowski. That's not
That's
Grotowski.
true. Yes, yes,
If you
yes.
said to Grotowski, if you said to Grotowski something about body theater or physical theater, he would get so upset.
Yes, yes.
He said to me so many times, Mario, I never did any physical theater.
Oh, I'm so glad you say that. Actually, you're right. In one of his interviews, when he was in one of the colleges in the US, he did speak of this idea that a lot of young actors are moving into gymnastics or high-end physical activity.
Who was this?
Okay.
Who said this?
There is an interview of Grotowski when he was teaching at a university in the US.
Yes, one of the bad effects, very bad effects
Yes.
of the
Yes.
book Towards the Poor Theater was that people started to do a lot of physical and vocal exercises. Grotowski told me this. So, because of this, he wrote two texts. They don't exist yet in English. One is called The Voice, and one is called Exercises, where he completely destroys this notion of actor like an athlete, vocal or physical athlete. Again, do you think that Girish was an athlete?
Yes,
Yes.
you're very right. Actually, this focus, yeah, it's something else we are after,
But on
which
the
is
other,
not physical of nature. Yeah.
yeah, but on the, because also, you know, to do a lot of physical exercise is good when you are young because you should discover what are not physical exercises. This is already the wrong word, but some kind of playing activity that you play like a child. So this is good because you discover that there is a freedom in the way of playing, but it's always with somebody, it's always in relation, it's always related to associations, meaning to your imagination, not to your body. Your body is gonna get old. What's better,
Yeah.
the body of a 19-year-old or the body of a 65-year-old? Or 70. Of course, the body of the 19-year-old is better in the sense that it's more elastic. But what is a better actor? Of course, an old actor is better than a young actor because
Yes.
acting is not about moving. Acting is not about
Thank you so
movement.
much.
Acting is
Yes.
about action. If, for example, now I don't move, I say to you, Jyoti, now wait a second, wait.
Yes.
Are you moving?
No, I'm staring at you.
So you are not moving, you are just waiting. What are you doing? You are doing an action of waiting. And there are
True.
small details. So waiting is not moving like,
Hmm.
so
Of course.
it's not movement. Action is something internal. The Bhagavad Gita says that man cannot stop doing actions. Otherwise, it would be very easy to get to mukti. Just don't move. You don't do actions, then you have no karma. But even if you don't move, you do actions, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
there is an
You put it
element.
very beautifully.
There is an element that it's true that we need somehow to keep a certain kind of physical shape. It's true.
Of course.
So, for example, you have now Corona. You cannot go out, you cannot rehearse. Very often, if you rehearse, you don't need to train. It is absurd to train if you are already rehearsing. It's a waste of time. The group of
Yes.
Grotowski told me many times, when they were rehearsing, when they were creating something, they were not spending time training because the important thing was to create something. So then, if you create some, you are creating
Yes.
some, and you are doing a scene at a certain moment where you have to jump from a table to the ground. Okay, simple scene. But the
Yeah.
director tells you, okay, you should jump without making noise when you get down. You should not go boom. And you
Right.
see that you cannot. So one smart thing to do is to invent a simple exercise that makes that you are able to jump from the table to the floor without making noise. If after 2 weeks the exercise works, it means that
Mm-hmm.
after 2 weeks you're able to jump from the table to the ground without noise. Then you stop doing the exercise. If after 2 weeks that you are doing this exercise that you invented, you are still making noise, you should stop doing the exercise because it means it does not work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, you can
Yeah.
keep a certain elasticity doing some stretches. For example, if you are not rehearsing now because of Corona or because you don't have in this moment an acting job, do something at home, play with your nephews, go run with them outside. That's enough.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I had this misconception in the last 1 year, thinking that perhaps if I was better trained physically, I am a little bit trained. I've learned Kathakali and some chow, but I started feeling, oh, because when I was at the center in Wrocław, suddenly I started thinking, oh my God, I do not have any of these skills, and what does that mean? But talking to you, it has been this sort of a, how should I say? It was like this unrest, like critiquing you, the actor in you, saying, "Oh, this you cannot do,"
Yes, you see,
which
this is
has
the
been put to
problem of
rest.
shame. This is the problem of shame. And it means that when I am ashamed, when I identify with my physical appearance, when I am observing myself as an object, when I'm trying to be
Yes,
accepted for my physical appearance from the outside, but actions, they come from the inside. When there is something with the name Grotowski, it does not mean that there is a connection with Grotowski. That's only a name.
true, true,
Do
true.
you understand? It's very
Yes,
important because it's
yes.
possible to put a name on anything. I put this, I say, I write Grotowski, and this is Grotowski. Grotowski was blue.
No, yes, I absolutely, no, even when I was there, I felt, is this the kind of work I would want to do, which is mostly a work which is done by dancers or acrobats, or and my even if I could do it, is not the work which drew me to Grotowski in the first place. In my 20s, when I was drawn to it, it was not because it was very, it was something else. There was something which sort of deep inside, something shifts and moves which you do not understand. Only you, it happens within, and then something of that, something, a portion of that comes out, either as a sound or as a text or as a small. Sorry, I've got it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
right.
Mario.
Remember what was that? Just that. Follow that. Follow when you feel that something is alive in you and not only in you. The important thing is that it's something connecting you with somebody else.
Of course, of course.
Hmm?
Yes. Thank you
And
very much. Thank you.
you feel older. Yeah, I feel older every day. That's the fact. We
Yes.
get older.
Good, yes.
Thank you, Supriyo. There are
No,
many,
no,
many
yes,
more
yes, yes.
questions here.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Mario.
thank you, Jyoti. Thank you. So lovely. So, I think that if it's possible to send the link to Mario or to me, I will send you Mario. There are lovely work by Jyoti. It's called Black Hole. I think you liked it. So,
Thank you very much.
there are more questions from Tatiana Lima, and also there are one I think sub name Sozer. He I don't know, but I think they want to ask you some questions. So Tatiana, can you open your video and ask? Is good?
Supriyo,
Uh,
Mario, I might as well leave. Thank you so much meeting you. I'm so happy. And
Sekonda,
by the way, I have a strong resemblance with one of our eminent director called Habib Tanveer. Your face exactly resembles him. Yeah.
Good.
thank you.
Lovely meeting you. Namaskar. Yeah.
Lovely to meet
কথা
you.
হচ্ছে Sekonda. Tatiana, Tatiana, please open your, if possible, you can ask direct to Mario.
Tatiana, where is she? What did she ask?
Yeah, yes. Hi Mario, do you think that this kind of work that you spoke about it, your first speech, could be done in this time of isolation? What kind of work are you doing now? If this isolation continues, what to do?
Well, I remember the first time I came to India, Supriyo. And I was going in an area where there was paludism, malaria. And they gave me these pills to take every day. But after some days, I was feeling so sick. So I stopped taking them. And the people there lived with this thing on their head, the possibility that they, their children, get malaria every day. It's like this in many parts of the world. We in the West always thought, okay, we don't have this. But I think that until there is some remedy to this disease, we will have to live with it. We cannot live always in isolation. We were in our apartments for almost 4 months here. You could not go out because police would stop you outside. You could go out only to buy food or to the doctor. Police would stop you and send you back home or give you a big fine. Of course, this is impossible in India because many people, they live outside. Their work is outside. They cannot stop working because they work today for the food of tomorrow. So it was possible to do this isolation for 4 months here. Also in Brazil, it's very tough, very, very tough. Here we are starting again to go outside, to rehearse, to do performances, etc. But we have to think of ways in which, for example, with my group, we are now working on something to do outside, in the squares, in parking lots, in gardens, inside big supermarkets. We invented a kind of flag, you know, a flag that is without a stick. And we started to play with these flags. And what we want to create, it's a way to enter into a public space without creating a group. Usually, when a theater group is in the street, they are like soldiers. They enter in a square and they conquer the place. And the people, the audience creates a group around, like a circle. But we want to create something where our presence in a square is completely diffuse, so that we are all among the people. We are not a center. We want to do actions outside where we are not the center. The center is diffuse. So we started to do this in nature, in big fields outside, because it was the only possible way to rehearse. And we discovered that working very far one from the other, this created in us a certain point of view in which our perception, our way of seeing was much more open and something very quiet inside. So we would be very active, but with this big open perspective, something inside becomes quiet. So we have now a bet. We would like to know if we do this in a public space and we work in this way with this open perspective, will this provoke the same effect in spectators? It's a bet. We don't know. This is what we want to prove. This is what we want to see, if it is true or not. I think it will. It will create a different quality of attention, that you see what's around you, simply.
There are two questions. One is from Rishi Kolpo, a young actor. Rishi, you can ask Mario, because this is you want to ask.
Rishi?
Yes, Rishi.
Hello, Mario. You have been working as a performer with Grotowski, and you have talked about us being privileged of actors being a fish in the water, of being witness to the society, the outer society. So how do you explain this isolation that performers are facing in these times where we are forced to look within ourselves? I think because we are isolated, we can't perform in front of a live audience. So how do you think Grotowski's concepts regarding presence, feeling, and self become relevant in these times as a source of inspiration for creating new work? Thank you.
I don't know if I understood exactly the question. Did you write it?
Yes. He writes
Rishi
it.
Kalpo, right?
Yes, this is
Oh, you have a
one.
beautiful name, Rishi Kalpo. Okay.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Rishi Kalpo, forget about presence, feeling, self. This was not the way of working of Grotowski. These are concepts. Concepts in acting are not going to help you. Grotowski, he was somebody who was telling you, okay, do this, try this, not try to be present. Or one time I remember I was working with somebody, and after I went to talk with him, and he told me, Mario, and during this session of work, I was giving some indications. And after he called me to talk with him, the others left, and we were only me and him. He said, Mario, it's absurd to say to somebody, be attentive. You cannot say to somebody, pay attention. You can say, for example, don't be late. Do this at the same time as him. So he would never say to somebody, you must be present, or you must feel, or you must be yourself. All these are notions. When you, now, in these times, why are actors often isolated? Well, of course, with Corona, there are problems with performing. But actors are often isolated, not because of Corona, but, but often we are very much centered on ourselves. So, for example, when we start to do theater, often it's because we want other people to like what we do. And that's a very human thing. It's very human. And everybody wants to do this. Everybody wants to be accepted. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be good. Nobody wants to be bad. Nobody wants to be not accepted. So how to deal with that? On one hand, your partner, your colleague, the person with whom you are working, it's your savior. Because you can put your attention, you can put your effort towards that person. And on the other hand, imagine the difference if you do a performance in a small theater, like let's say a small avant-garde theater in Calcutta. Imagine those circumstances. So there are theater people watching, theater goers, intellectuals, and then imagine the same performance if you do it in a village in the countryside. It's totally different. You will have totally different reactions. Actually, you will have probably a much more lively audience. You will have people reacting in an organic way. You will have people talking, eating, children crying. You will have no time to be self-centered. That would be the good test. And if they enjoy, good. They will see really what you do. They will not see your interpretation. Now, you have at the same time now in India, you have this it's not very different from other places in the world, but you have a very serious political situation where you have a nationalistic party that has an enormous success, enormous, especially in the villages. a lot of what is nationalism based on? Ignorance. The illusion that in order to be myself, I should be different and against you. What can you do about that? What can you bring to a village? If you can bring something that is precious for people in a village, you will do something real. Forget about presents. Maybe you should go in a village and teach people how to protect themselves from corona, because they cannot isolate themselves because of the conditions of their life. Maybe you can do that for homeless people in Calcutta, thousands. Do what you feel is useful, and then you will be present. You will be there. What you do will be real. Will it have an effect? Who knows? You do your best. Can you change the world? Of course not. But you do your best. It works. Okay. It does not work. Okay. Just do your best. Find something that is useful for a small group of people that is not inside your, let's say, professional circle.
Mario, there is one question by, I think, Susan.
Good evening. I would like to ask you about your work with Syrian refugees in a Greek island. I came across a short video on the internet about this in relation to the question of being active in the dark times. I'm from Turkey, so I am quite aware of the situation of the Syrian refugees.
Where are you in Turkey?
Düzce.
Where?
I am from Ankara, but now I'm living in a smaller town.
Well, that video is from many years ago. And the situation did not get better. The city where we live here in Pontedera in the past 10 years has completely changed because of a lot of immigration. So yes, about 10 years ago, I started to see that the population of the city was changing. So I proposed to my colleagues to look to contact the new citizens, because for me, everybody who is in a place is, if you live in a place, you are a citizen, whatever is your status. You may have papers or not, but de facto, you are a citizen. You're part of the life of a place. So in these gatherings that we create, in these encounters based on singing, and not only, we started to work with different groups. Here there are many, many refugees from West Africa, many. And we started to work with different groups separately, and then to put them together. Also in places, not only in Italy, but in places where there is an historical segregation. For example, in the United States, we work a lot in the Bronx. And the United States, it's a very segregated society. So you can live you can live in two different parts of town attached, but you never go here. And the person here would never go here. So these people are never together in the same space. And if they are in the same space, they have very automatic reactions. So we started to work in this way to try to create context where these automatic reactions are suspended for a moment. For example, through singing. It's a very powerful tool, singing. Since then, one of these refugees has become a stable member of our group. He's a young man from Mali, and he is now a member of the Open Program. We continue this work, and we are trying to also, how to say, of course, there are public programs, there are programs by the state that have to do with receiving people from abroad. But since a few years, these programs have less and less money, so they can provide less and less services. So we try to support that. So now one thing that as a group I feel we have to do is to support the public effort. For example, public school for children or public school for adults, like these refugees. Often they don't know how to write and read. Or to support the public efforts in welcoming these people. These people would not go to theater ever. It's not in their horizon. They have other priorities. Sometimes the priority is how to get your papers, how to get food, how to get a job, how to contact your family. So this is for us a very good opportunity to expand our work, to open it to other worlds. Why? Because I feel that in our work there are certain tools that have been developed over, hundreds of years that are useful for the future. They can help you to be able to imagine things, to invent a project for your life, to expand your horizons. These people who come to Europe is not like Turkey. In Turkey, I think 70% of the population is probably under 25-year-old. Europe is not like that. Europe, it's an old continent with old people. These people who come from outside Europe here, they are bringing hope. They have the future in their eyes. I am already on the side of the setting sun. I'm already an old dude. I know some things. I know how to use certain tools. I would like to be able to provide other people with these tools for the future, for a future that I will not know. Yeah.
Mario,
Yes.
so I think it's so enriching, and so for us who are here, I think this is an experience to listen
Yes,
your
thank
work.
you so much, Mario. I just want to say thank you from my side here. I'm sure it has been
To
absolutely wonderful listening to you. Thank you.
yes, and to listen your words in this time, and thank you again to join with us. And
Supriyo, I
so
thank
it's
you for this opportunity. And
and it's nice.
I
After
hope,
12 years, I think after 12 years we are in this way we are talking.
yes.
But yes, we are here.
I thank you all for your attention and for this opportunity to talk with you. It's a long time I don't come to India. It's a place I love. The last time I came there, it was with the ashes of Grotowski. He wanted them to be in a place in India. And one day, maybe, if God wills, I will come again. But I thank you for this opportunity. And Supriyo, maybe you can. Um, we will organize in September 1 week of meetings online.
Hmm.
So maybe when this is organized and we know the calendar, it will be with different people from all over the world.
Hmm.
And this is done with our friends in Turkey, you know? Where is the Turkish?
Yes. So the,
Here. It's done with, we do this with our friends of the Teatro Medrese in Shiringo, with Jalal and the others there. So, Supriyo, I will send you this link,
yes,
and so that people can take part.
yes. This will be.
Great.
And today with us is Jesus. Jesus, you are here?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Right.
Oh. So I think, where are you?
I'm here.
Okay. So, Jesus, thank you. And thank you again, Mario. Greetings from India, Kolkata, Bibhaban. Be happy, be steady, and give light, more light to us.
Thank
Okay.
you to you all. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Thank you.
you, sir.